You must know that first. Can't nothing and nobody fade what we trying to do and what we about to do. Second thing is, we got this game on our level. You understand what I'm saying?
Yo, welcome to an episode of In Space. I'm your host, as always, Chris Connors. Shout out to the good people at DraftKings Sportsbook for showing us love all season long. New York Life, as well as Birdsall Law Firm. The off season. I mean, I've done a couple shows since the Pelicans were eliminated from playoff contention, and while a lot of other teams are still playing basketball, which we're gonna talk about, Pelicans are out. So we got a whole offseason to talk about the Pelicans. And between, we folks at Boot Krewe, we had a meeting yesterday about how the offseason is gonna break down and so on and so forth. So, yo, man, I'm gonna tell y'all, like, I remember last year talking to a lot of folks, and I was thinking about struggling with content. And I remember multiple people that I talked to was like, yeah, man, like, you grasping for straws. I really get the feeling like this year, not just for us, but for a lot of people, is going to be a little different. And you're going to have a real fun off season full of a lot of different creative content. I know people at Boot Krewe, from the individual shows to, the group shows that we put out, is going to be dope, man. So y'all tap in with us. Here's one of those examples. So I ain't got to tell y'all, the Grizzlies playing right now. Their season may be on the line tonight, or as we speak right now, playing the Los Angeles Lakers. And there's, a lot of talk about that Grizzlies team, what they do going forward, Ja Morant. And that's outside of all the different conversations that's been surrounding Ja this year in particular. But I'm going to tell y'all in this show why a comparison that I have kind of thought about, I've loosely compared Ja to, is slowly becoming brighter and brighter to me. And I wanted to discuss it with y'all and see what y'all thought. So Ja Morant reminds me of Derrick Rose in a lot of ways. Now, from play style to, and we're talking early on, right? I'm talking elite, talking early elite. It didn't last long, but I'm talking MVP level Derrick Rose before the knee injury, which kind of just changed everything for him. And it ties into what's, I think, is important about Ja, regardless of how this season ends or not. I think that Ja needs to make some adjustments and some changes in his game. And I think that a guy like Derrick Rose is perfect for him to look at, because he's one of those dudes that I think, it's one of the few dudes that can maybe understand the path that Ja is having to take or going through. And man, like, I started thinking, like, even like the team setups, man, when comparing those two, right? You got Jaren Jackson Jr., Rose had Joakim Noah, different players and how they got paid and got money, but different personality types as well. But I look at that guy and I say, all right, well, that's the anchor defensively, like, for your team. And Rose had guys like, Carlos Boozer later on, but the list goes on and on, right? You got, Desmond Bane, on one side here, and then for the Bulls, you had Luol Deng. So you had guys that were, homegrown talents that were there, and then they added from outside of the team eventually to kind of make that Bulls team what it was. But regardless of all the different role players, the shooters, you got Luke Kennard from Memphis, you got Kyle Korver, eventually was a Bull. They drafted guys like Doug McDermott. And I'm trying to think. I mean, you eventually get a Jimmy Butler. You draft him and grow him. Maybe he's probably the better Desmond Bane comparison of sorts. But you get what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of comparisons there, but the motor, for better or for worse, is in that guard. And it just so happens, in my opinion, Ja is generational. Well, so was Derrick. Right? Derrick was, we had saw athletic guards, and I got the the unique opportunity, even though being from New Orleans, I had been in Chicago when Derrick was coming up. I had been in Chicago for like 2-3 years already. I was going to school at that time, going to high school when Derrick was on his way, even coming through the ranks through high school, going to Simeon. And you remember hearing stories then, pass first. Well, what did you hear about Ja? Like Ja was doing crazy stuff in college. And the high number of assists. He was a point guard. That's what was being talked about. And the athleticism was like the plus, but he was a team. But that's what you heard. That's what I heard about Ja coming out. Humble dude with a motor, a competitor, but he's team first. He's gonna get his other guys involved. Same with Derrick. Then you get to the league, and you being this amazing talent, the team that you were surrounded around, like the keys are in your hand. And both guys got off to like hot starts. I think Derrick didn't make the playoffs the first year, and I think Ja was in the play in the first year. But each and every year after that, he continued to stay competitive, made the playoffs. And we got a chance to really see Memphis always be in the mix of things. Same with Derrick. Ends up winning, like, the youngest MVP. Like that was a time. But I remember, and I was called a hater for this at the time. I ain't really, maybe I was being really stubborn about just Chris Paul at the time in New Orleans. Or just like, I don't really see it. There was something that was drawing caution for me when it came to D Rose. Even earlier, I was watching, and maybe it was because we hadn't seen anything like him, but you just watched them play. I was like, man, that looks dangerous. His style of play looks dangerous. And I just kept thinking, like, the cuts, the stops, the starts, all of the like that level of athleticism coming in those little short periods and bursts. I just kept thinking, like, yo, playing that style game in and game out, not really being a shooter yet. It took him a while to really took Derrick, I'd say, years after his last injury to become, a solid to good, consistent shooter. Ja isn't there as of yet, even though he's made some type of improvements. But downhill, finishing at the cut, I haven't seen. I hadn't seen the change of direction like Derrick Rose. And it's ironic because Russell Westbrook came out that same draft class with D Rose, and then we later saw guys like John Wall and company, follow. But same with Ja, like what Ja takes off from and how he's able to extend the basketball to get to it's why some of his posters and almost posters have been some of the nastiest things that we've ever seen. One of one, I think both of them. But I think that the thing I always saw with Derrick, look, man. Before throwing to Derrick Rose, I always wonder, like, how long can that last? And it's similar to the conversations that we talk about with Zion, right? It's not about just the today. It's about the longevity. What does he do? What can he do now to help the dude that's going to, 10 years from now, to help the basketball player that we hope is still playing 6, 7, 8 years from now? Those are the conversations. That's why CJ McCollum, will get on a podium and say, this is how I lasted for so long. This is why I'm at this stage and I've been able to play this consistent because I've taken care of this and that, my body, the game. And this isn't a personal conversation. That's a whole different discussion. I'm not telling you that I have, sources to know these individuals and people, but I'm just talking about the games and what I'm watching. And dog, when you look at some of the falls, Ja got a laundry list of crazy falls to where it's like, how long before it's the wrong one? Here's one from the series. 24, Vanderbilt trying to stay with him. Morant inside. Offensive. It's crazy. And, bro, he got so many of those. And it's like, dog, there's so many close calls. You saw that a lot with Derrick as well. Falling on the ground so many times, having to get up until one day, like, things just gave. It just happened. And then it happened again. And it happened again. And one knee injury changed one of the more unique talents that we've ever seen. We got robbed of seeing what he would grow into once his body matured, once he matured mentally, you know, once he like truthfully became a man, like once he really got into the dude that we see today, that is a really fantastic interview when hearing about the things that he's went through on and off the floor. And Derrick Rose, the title of the video says Ja Morant should look to learn from Derrick Rose. And I was really going to say he should learn from Derrick Rose's mistakes. And could you really call it mistakes when a dude at 20 years old wins MVP and I think got his team to the Eastern Conference Championship and had a real chance to get into the NBA Finals? And that's probably not even fair on D Rose's part. But, you know, you think about just the safety of it all and the respect of knowing, all right, I can go 0 to 100 whenever I choose to. But the goal is to survive and preserve. Now, in the playoffs, I know you land it all on the line, but can you afford to do that so often and play a long career? Thankfully, Ja hasn't had, he's had a few different injuries here, but he hasn't had a season ender. He hasn't had a major injury just yet. But man, how many more of these can you see before it's like something bad happens? And I would hope, whether it's his jumper, whether it's some of the things, some of the fundamentals, some of the elements that he adds, the craftiness he adds around the game to add to, I guess, adjust. We know what type of athlete he is, but what else can he add to his game, to his repertoire, to, just preserve his body in an already long, and some would say too long, NBA season. Like this is crazy. This one here was nuts. That should never happen in an NBA game. Like, why? Let me tell you what I thought about when I saw it.
Able to nail Jericho, and now Jeff Hardy. Nice somersault.
Shouldn't happen. I'm gonna start calling him Ja Hardy, because you should not be in any situation on the floor where you are doing a swanton bomb or a whisper in the wind, the whisper in the wind on a basketball floor. It just shouldn't be a thing. Shouldn't be a thing. Longevity, man. Longevity. And, Derrick Rose taught you that at the highest point of your career, it could all change. You don't know when it's going to happen. For him, it happened in the playoffs, right? Changed the way he looked at basketball, changed his life forever. You don't know when that next pro hop, and it wasn't even, and for D Rose, I don't even think it was that crazy of a play. It just happened. You don't know when it's going to happen. And I hope that Ja learns from that before his game is forced to change. Or let's say he, and I hope that nothing does happen. I hope that he doesn't have any major injuries or so on and so forth. But even let's say he doesn't, and he's blessed to play a long career without any major injuries, the athleticism will fade. What else have you added in the process? To me, I always thought that in these years, especially these early years, is the best time to get after it, to make the best of both worlds between what you can do fundamentally, what you can do mentally, and what you can do athletically. Now's the time to get it, because that might be able to shift a lot of what this team does. Like, the Bulls didn't know 100% how to build around Derrick Rose. And they never got the chance to really learn about it because of the injuries. They didn't have a full, you didn't have 5, 6, you didn't have that long of time. Ja, I think it's going into year 5. He's been able to get there. Now, what does his next 5 years look like? And I'm hoping, same conversation that we have about Zion, I'm hoping that he learns from this last 5 and just stop putting his body in. So, like, bro, what?
Able to nail Jericho, and now Jeff Hardy. Nice somersault.
Ja, protect yourself, man. Protect yourself, man. Learn from D Rose. And I know they different players, man. And D Rose, in a lot of respects, was the first of that kind of animal, that kind of athlete, to this day, man, I don't think you might not ever see another Derrick Rose, especially that story going to Chicago, playing like crazy. But even in the same division as the Pelicans, man, you know, even if we never get a chance to see the rivalry that we thought would happen between him and Zion or Grizzlies, Pelicans full time, I just want Ja to have a long career, man, and be able to make the most of his gifts and, you know, really take his game to another level. And I think he will, but it'll be a lot easier if he's able to, you know, be healthy and not continuing to put his body at risk. That's just the goal, man. Continue to add to your craft, add to your game, you know, and let the rest take care of itself. Appreciate y'all, man. That's it for this show. Tomorrow, man, I got a fun show. Lance Moore. Y'all know who Lance Moore is. Super Bowl champion. You know, he's a legend as far as I'm concerned. We're going to talk about his career. He was gracious enough to come join, chop it up with me tomorrow, Thursday on draft day. So that's going to be dope. Shout out to Lance. I can't wait to do that. Till then, no, I holler at y'all. It's going to be a fun off season. Playoffs is on. I'm sure we'll have more to talk about as the series is, you know, advance and we get to the finals. But yeah, man, y'all keep locking in. Let me know what y'all think. Do y'all think that Ja Morant and Derrick Rose is a good comparison? Do y'all see what I'm talking about? What are y'all concerns with Ja? What do y'all think he should change? Are you concerned about his future? I'd like to hear it. Yeah, shout out everybody. We good. We out. And if I didn't, it's the off season, right? I could rest now, right? I ain't gotta. Najee, get us out of here.
In the building. I told you last time, get with us or get out of here, man.